Fellow disciples, it's good to be here with you. I want to share some thoughts on what God really desires of us. And I think a lot of people look at the prophets and mistake their responsibility and their charge. A lot of people think of the prophets as foretelling the future, but actually the job of the biblical prophets was to remind God's people of what he had already said and what he had already done. And so part of that is giving them warnings. Like, remember, God said, if you do this, this will happen. And sometimes the prophets are reminding us of the blessings and the promises that he gives to us. So in those instances, they would be saying, now remember, he said, if we do this, we get this. So I think the other misconception about the prophets is they were speaking to people that were not of faith, trying to get them to come into the faith. But actually, the prophets were talking to the people within the faith. At the time, they were speaking to the Israelites. And so I think today, as we read the prophets, we have to hear them speaking to us today in the church, calling us back to what God has already done and what he is doing now and what he wants to do and what he's warning us against. So with that in mind, I want to read to you what I think is the most succinct message of the prophets. And it comes in Micah chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. So please listen and receive this word from God this morning through the prophet Micah. What can we bring to the Lord to make up for what we've done? Should we bow before God with offerings of yearly calves? Should we offer him thousands of rams and tens of thousands of rivers of olive oil? Would that please the Lord? Should we sacrifice our firstborn children to pay for the sins of our souls? Would that make him glad? No. O people, the Lord has already told you what is good, and this is what he requires: to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. That's a succinct way of reading all of the prophets: to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And so with that in mind, this morning for me, but whenever you're watching this video, I want to ask you, if you are in a pretty good financial situation and you can afford to use some of your relief check from the government to bless others, I'd love for us to have some conversation in the comments section. Would you tell me, how have you blessed somebody with part of your relief check? I'm going to share with you what I've done, because I think we just need to get this conversation going, because many people don't know what they can do. Well, certainly you can give part of that to your local church so that they can in turn bless others with it. But I'm going to just share what I've done. Seed Livelihood is one of the ministries that I personally support, and our church has recently started supporting them as well, and they have livelihood groups. And so I invested part of my relief check in one of those livelihood groups, and I can tell you that the director of Seed sent me an email and said that it brought tears of joy to her eyes, just because, we think we have it bad here because we have to stay sequestered in our homes. These people, if they don't have income, they're not eating. And I doubt anyone that's watching this video is in that situation. So I wanted to bless some people there. And so I invested in a Seed Livelihood group with part of my relief check. Also, Buffalo has this ministry called Hearts for the Homeless, and they care for the poorest of the poor in our city. And so I invested some money with them in their mobile soup kitchen because they are working overtime right now and seeing more and more people coming to that mobile soup kitchen. So I invested part of my relief check in that. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm not saying this to boast about what I've done. I'm saying it to get a conversation going. I would love to hear other ideas so that when we have some excess funds, we have ideas on where to invest that and where to bless some people that maybe really need a boost right now. So I hope you'll do that in the comment sections. Just share. I mean, you don't have to tell how much you gave or how little you gave. It doesn't matter. But be reminded of the words of the prophet Micah, that we are to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And I think these are some of the ways that we do all three of those, that we walk humbly with our God when we show mercy and when we do what is right. So I hope you'll take me up, comment below, and let us know how you have invested part of your relief check and what you're doing with it to bless others. Looking forward to hearing from you.